Good day everyone. Today we are going to discuss the Module 11, Understanding the Insurance and Legal Issues. First, what is intrinsic reward? It is an intangible award of recognition, a sense of achievement, or a conscious satisfaction. For example, it is the knowledge that you did something right or you helped someone and made their day better. Because intrinsic rewards are intangible, they usually arise from within the person who is doing the activity or behavior. Next is extrinsic reward. It is an award that is tangible or physically given to you for accomplishing something. It is a tangible recognition of one's endeavor. For example, it's a certificate of accomplishment, a trophy or medal for winning the race, a badge or points for doing something right, or even a monetary reward for doing your job. Next is topic 2, risk management. Risk management is the task of identifying these potential hazards and creating standard operating procedures to prevent their occurrence. Next is crisis management team. It is a group of homogeneous managers and employees who can be quickly summoned to deal with a fire, a possible outbreak of a foodborne illness, a flood, or any other crippling crisis. They must have a blend of superior technical, human, and conceptual skills to deal effectively with the crisis and must have the immediate ability to make appropriate decisions to protect the interests of the clients and the organization. Next is insurance. A catering crisis management team can help resolve the immediate needs of the situation. When establishing the right insurance program for the organization, a caterer must first identify and analyze the exposures or potential causes of loss. Second, know the options to address the exposures and choose the best alternative for the organization. And last, monitor the insurance program and make incremental adjustments to the overall package. Addressing risk. Insurance coverage is not only option for a caterer to address risk. A caterer may avoid or reduce or transfer risk. A caterer can implement a plan to avoid risk by eliminating all circumstances that cause it. One such method is the establishment of a catering safety management team. The purpose of a catering safety management team is to continuously monitor the environment or identify and correct potential risks, ensuring the proper safety of the employees and the guests. The composition of a safety management team is up to the discretion of the caterer and is usually a combination of both management and hourly employees.
A safety survey documents an active commitment to creating a positive safety record. Create safety procedures that become standard operating procedures. Identifies training needs. Documents guest comments and accidents related to safety issues. Provides for the continuous inspection and monitoring of the operation. Develops effective emergency procedures designed to protect the guest and the employee. Emergency procedures. In case of emergency, keep calm. Determine if emergency assistance is required. Determine if the area is safe for rescue personnel. Dial 911. Know the location.
Risk. Risk can also be reduced. A caterer can have a sprinkler system or a central alarm system to reduce the risk of fire. A caterer can also transfer the risk of loss by renting a facility instead of owning the building. Insurance Services Office or ISO is a standard. Insurance policies are written on the forms created by the Insurance Services Office. Generally, insurance companies file the rates with the Insurance Commissioner's Office in the state where they desire to conduct a business. Informed consumer. Being an informed consumer of an insurance is very important to maintaining a healthy catering business. Caterers must be educated about the loss control service offered by their insurers to take full advantage of the right mix of their organization. Property insurance. A caterer has a few options regarding to the coverage of property insurance. One choice is to have the building and the contents covered on a replacement cost basis. Liability insurance. Premise operations or liability insurance covered will protect the caterer against claims arising from the ownership, maintenance, or use of the premise and of the caterer's operations in the progress. For example, say a potential client is meeting with the caterer on the premise to discount future services while while touring the facility and client slips and falls on the wet floor and become injured as the result of the accident.
Fire damage liability. This provides coverage for the caterer's legal liability arising from fire damage to structures rented by the caterer. So, ito yung coverage of tenant's liability for damage caused by fire sa mga rented premises na inoccupy nila. Medical expense coverage. We reimburse all reasonable medical expenses incurred by anyone, except the caterer or the caterer's employees, as a result of an accident without regard for the caterer's liability. This gives the insurer some money to offer an injured party without concluding an investigation. This flexibility to respond quickly helps control the claim cost by settling claims early without delay. So, itong medical expense coverage na ito is part ng auto insurance policy para sa medical expenses regardless of who caused the accident. Automobile insurance. The law for this vary depending on the state in which the caterer is conducting business. It can be observed in the same light as property and liability coverage. So, kahit na walang company vehicle ang caterer, they must have hired and non-owned liability coverage to be protected from liability imputed by the actions of an employee owning an automobile. Employment practice liability. Coverage has many options for deductibles and limits to help a caterer tailor a policy to fit the needs of the organization. It's recommended for a caterer to reference some of the excellent materials available to help prevent a claim of this nature. And it is also important to obtain an estimate for this type of coverage to get as much information as possible before a decision to purchase or decline it is made. Selection of insurance. The most desirable program for a caterer is one that addresses all possible causes of loss with a combination of insurance, safety practices, and sensible transfer of risk at least expense to the caterer. So, bago mag-purchase ng policy ang isang caterer, kailangan muna niyang mag-undergo to some realizations and selections sa kung ano yung makakabuti para makatulong sa pagpili or pag-purchase ng isang effective insurance program. Insurance expense. This expense is incurred for all insurance contracts, including property, liability, and medical insurance. Here are some basic truths about insurance coverage. Higher deductibles, higher co-insurance clauses, low losses, if any, and competitive costs will keep the cost insurance down.
Topic 3, contracts. Contract. To clarify the significance, it is important for a caterer to understand some basic business activities that involve a contract. A contract is a binding agreement between two or more parties. This may also be defined as an agreement creating an obligation. Engager. The other party, referred to as the engager or client, is obligated to pay for the food and specific services. If satisfactory, if either party fails to fulfill its side of the obligation, the other party may have the right to legal recourse. Topic 3, contracts. Basic contract stipulations. A contract must cover a standard set of basic contract stipulations or details. Figure 12 to 10. Before entering into a contract with the client, an attorney should be consulted to review its specific contents. Number 1, the exact number of people who will be served must be stipulated. A stipulation requiring the final guarantee as to the number of guests attending this event to be given by 12 noon, no later than business days in advance of the function. Once given, this guarantee is not subject to any reduction. Number 2, the exact menu to be served in order for the caterer to assure the availability of the menu items selected. Final confirmation of the menu selections must be submitted weeks prior to the date of execution. However, unforeseen market conditions may require the caterer to make professional substitutions on menu items. Specialty and the menu will be designed to meet individual needs and tastes. Number 3, the type of service to be provided at the event by the caterer and staff. Staff catering often makes box dinners or lunch for companies which appoint them. Number 4, the exact amount of time for each activity. Time limits are especially important. If the caterer runs into overtime, this must be carefully spelled out in advance on the contract. The caterer and client will agree to an exact beginning and ending time. Many caterers will include a clause granting the client permission to continue the celebration past the contracted ending time. If permission is granted, an overtime charge would be applied against the client.
The exact price. The caterer may stipulate that all printed catering menu prices are subject to change without notice. In addition, all contracted prices would be honored. However, for contracted events at least 6 months in advance, the following stipulation will be included. This is an approximate price. The client grants the caterer the right to adjust the price based on unforeseen market conditions. The caterer will provide the final price days before the function date. Payment policy. A minimum deposit of 33 1/3% of the total bill is required when the contract is signed. Another 33 1/3% of the total bill is required no later than days prior to the date of the event, and the remainder of the final bill is due days prior to the event. Deposit and refund policy. All deposits are non-refundable. Each event is different, and if a function is cancelled, it remains the judgment of the caterer to make this decision. Cancellation and refund policy. The caterer reserves the right to cancel this agreement without penalty and notice in the event of breach of contract by the client. Method for counting guests. An accounting method for tracking the number of guests must be determined. When the caterer is being compensated per guest, this is extremely important, especially if catering large events, such as a 1,500 guest picnic. Techniques used may involve tickets, placed issued, bundle or rolled silverware with a napkin issued, an employee and guest assigned to each count and monitor attendance.
The banquet event order is a multi-purpose catering management tool used internally to communicate the specific details for execution of catering event to the appropriate personnel. It simultaneously functions as an indirect control document because the BEO establishes accountability and assigns managerial responsibility by launching a concrete paper trail that is easily audited and confirmed. The BEO is often used by a hotel catering department to coordinate each catering event through communicating to appropriate personnel or departments what participation is needed.